The Awake Shop by Rev Skip. Inspiration you can wear. Hats, mugs, hoodies, and tees. Visit theawakeshop.org today.
New Thought Media Network is proud to present Cosmic Prayers, your weekly shift, Mondays at 11 Mountain Time, with your host, Laura Topper. The Cosmic Prayers, live from the UK. And now, here she is, Laura Topper.
Hi, and welcome to the Cosmic Prayer. I'm so excited to be here today because this is a very special show. It's always amazing here on the Cosmic Prayer. We are being broadcast by New Thought Media Network, which I just feel so blessed to be here with New Thought Media Network right now, because I know the intention and the vision and the mission of this wonderful ministry, bringing so many programs to you, to your heart, so that you can understand spiritual practice and spiritual principles and really use these tools for your life. And that's what the Cosmic Prayer is all about. Good morning, Anne-Marie. It's great to be with you here. And hi, Wayne. So good that you're tuning in today, because this is a very, very special show. So many guests come on over time, and today's guest, special super guest, is Reverend Skip Jennings. And I just feel I'm so excited, because I know that Reverend Skip has so much to give and is giving so much in his life, and as a minister and a licensed practitioner and co-director in this LGBTQA ministry at Agape. Reverend Skip shows up in so many beautiful ways, shining his light and sharing the message that he knows of truth and love in ways that are just unique to him. Yes, yay, Reverend Skip. As a health and fitness instructor and yoga teacher and nutrition expert. Wow, I think I'm going to have a private consultation with Rev Skip. I need to get my yoga together and my fitness together. Above and beyond that, though, as a minister and a teacher and a guide, Rev Skip teaches and talks and shares and sits with people who are in need of learning and knowing this truth for themselves, for their lives, for better lives for themselves. And Rev Skip is here on New Thought Media Network with his weekly show, In the Flow with Rev Skip. And I know that is a great broadcast, so you can catch that on Fridays, and where he has guests on and talks about spirituality and metaphysics and self-development and how we can live better lives. And Rev Skip has written three books, Lotus Kitchen, Spirit Expression, and the Little Book of Big Transformation. It's so exciting, and it's great to be here today with Rev Skip. So let's welcome him on with a big hug and a big hi.
Hey, how are you? I'm accepting that virtual hug.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to hear, your teachings and what it is that's in your heart and how you use prayer and how you teach prayer, because I know that this is such a powerful topic for our lives right now, isn't it, Rev Skip?
Thank you, Laura Topper. It's so awesome to be a part of your show, because you're a part of our show. And I say our show because we have the same co-producer, which is Diego. So it's like our show. You were on In the Flow, and just your offerings so beautiful. So it's just a wonderful experience to be here with you. And I don't have to worry about what's the next question. I could be in a flow and just let go. Yes. And Wayne, hey Wayne, how are you? Wayne's on.
Oh, Wayne's on, and Marianne. It's great that we have people watching live, and I know whether you're watching live now or catching up with this later on podcast. Let's get into it. Skip, I know that you are a spiritual teacher, a spiritual leader, and that you have so much to share, and people come to you in different ways whether through your yoga or nutrition or your speaking and ministering, what is it that prayer how has prayer affected you for your life? What does prayer mean for you?
That's a beautiful, straight to the point question right away. We're going to go deep, y'all. So, prayer is something I learned early on. I think I came out of my mom's womb praying, growing up in a Christian home and Southern Baptist, where my grandfather was a minister, uncles ministers, aunts, evangelists. And we grew up learning that prayer is the way we get to connect with God. We get to speak, and we get to, at the time, I was taught to beg and beseech God for a blessing. And so connecting with God and talking to God was always about getting something or having something done. And now, as I expand as a New Thought minister, prayer is a way of life. Prayer is an everyday experience. So I'm grateful for my upbringing. I'm grateful for my time of learning of what prayer and how to pray in a certain way that helped me to develop to who I am today. So, prayer is very important.
You said prayer is, are you in a regular routine of prayer, of using prayer? And by prayer, I mean spiritual treatment.
Right.
So for anyone that isn't, used to that or aware of that, if you're listening, it's a form of a way that we pray,
right.
Kind of a process that changes our own consciousness, really, knowing that God is all there is, and that's what we're changing, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the other thing too is that as I grow up and develop, you realize that prayer is a non-ending experience. Prayer is happening all the time. I'm constantly, walking around at Agape. We have 6 steps. And the first step is gratitude. I am constantly in the place of gratitude. Thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Divine. Thank you, Gaia, for the rain this morning. We had rain here this morning. I'm constantly saying a prayer of gratitude. Meister Eckhart says if we only say thank you, if that's the only prayer we do, it is enough. I find myself being in that space, and then I find myself naturally moving into the recognition of what I believe God to be, calling out love, peace, oneness, and then my unification of this oneness. Everything I do comes from the unification. So there's something I don't do anything without being in prayer. Even before coming on, I'm praying. I pray this every time. God, speak through me. God, speak as me. God, speak for me. And so everything I do starts with prayer.
And so can you talk on this for a moment? Because as you're saying it, I'm just really tuning in of, what we teach prayer and you teach prayer. And as a minister, you're ministering to one person or to many people in a community at a time. And would you say that people come to you and want prayer because they believe it's going to change something, and need to have an immediate demonstration? And how you would say to that person if that's not happening? Because for anyone that's listening, because I think we all get to that place in our lives where we realize it's not for that immediate demonstration, but yet when we start on our road, on our journey of prayer, we want it now, don't we? It's like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's
absolutely.
Not really that, is it, that we're praying?
It's not. The first thing I always tell people who are meeting with me for the very first time about prayer, I'm not here to change anything. I'm not here to heal anything. I'm here to hold space as you begin to understand what's happening within you. So if you're praying for, say, you're praying for your ideal mate to show up, I'm always reminding my clients and members to understand that we're really tapping into a space of divine love. We want to fall in love with ourselves. So the prayer that I normally pray, and sometimes my clients get mad at me and say, you didn't add in my perfect mate. I'm going, well, you are your perfect mate. You are one in God. Therefore, you're already in love. So I really believe that the mind treatment is about shifting how we think. It's about what's happening up in here. And once we begin, it is done as you believe. If we can start believing in the thoughts and what we're speaking, because I can speak a very lovely, beautiful, flowery prayer. If I don't believe it, it's not going to go anywhere.
Oh, yes. It's that conviction, isn't it? Knowing in our hearts that we know that we know we know.
We know that we know.
That takes practice. For me, it's taken practice to get to that place.
Yeah. And also in the space of our prayer practice, it is just like any other practice, like yoga or the practice of taking care of your body or a practice of meditation. It requires a continuous activity so we can expand. So where I began to pray, 15 years ago when I found New Thought, my prayers are different. My prayers have a different feel to it. There's a different weight to the prayer. And I believe one of the greatest things I learned about prayer when I was going through practitioner training, my teacher, my prayer teacher, then Reverend Greta Shahida, said to me, pray out loud for yourself. That's how you're going to get better. Because we can pray in our heads all the time. But when we absolutely verbalize the prayer, it solidifies. It becomes more expansive. So I learned to pray out loud for myself, and my practice began to grow.
Wow. And it's so easy to get into habits, isn't it? Of thinking that we're, praying internally, and that's okay too. And yet it's that we can then kind of kid ourselves that we're in a habit and it's working. And yet it's really good I feel it's good to experiment and use different, pray internally, yes, and pray out loud, because it's all a prayer anyway, isn't it? But it's
right.
Yeah.
And one of the steps that, we got through the gratitude and coming into the recognition and unification step, but that realization of what you know, that can only come from your unification with God. I was also taught by, Reverend Kathleen McNamara. She's one of our teachers at Agape University. She said that you stay in the unification until you know you're one in God. Don't go to the next step. These steps are there for a reason, not for God to appear, for God to manifest what you want. And it's for us to align our minds with the process of how prayer really works. That's where the steps are so important. So don't jump into your realization until you know, and you know that you're one in God, you're one with God, one as God. There is no separation. So I can hang in unification for a good long time. And it feels good before I go into the realization of what I want to manifest.
Yeah. That's so true. My teacher told me a while ago here in the UK, Reverend Anya, she said, and she's French, and so it's always sounds so, I don't know, her accent kind of, I love it. And she said, all we really need to do is recognize and unify, and that's it.
Yes.
And if you do that really, if you're really in that place at the end of unification, then the prayer actually is, it's done. There's no get a realization, because we kind of realize it in the unification.
Yeah. I love that. I love that, because I've been teaching about this week, and that because we're one in God, we have everything that God is. Everything that God is already within us. So I love that. If I know my unification and I'm connected, then it's already done. So what is the realization for? The realization for me to realize that it's done. That realization is for me. It's not for God. It's for me. To realize that it's already done. To know what I know. It's just like, especially, here's the most important thing. I think one of the most important lessons I learned about prayer was from this pandemic. I've been calling the sacred reset. that was a time that I've seen more people drop to their knees. Even atheists were praying, Lord, when is this going to be done? Prayer became really essential throughout this pandemic. One thing I am noticing, and I don't know if you're noticing this as well, as we have this appearance of being done, because I really don't believe that this experience is done yet, there is less and less of this need for people to search out for spirituality. When we were in the midst of this thing, at the height of it, I had so many people coming, pray for me, pray for me, pray for me. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. Pray for me. And as we have this appearance after this shot, this vaccination that came through, less people were coming and asking for prayer. So I'm like, okay, so we have this false appearance that we no longer need prayer. In fact, this is the time that we need to be praying more and more and more as our global community is going through a transition. We're moving out of this time into another space, but how will we move together? This is a time that we need those who pray. We got to pray more, because this is a very important time that we're moving into from this space into another space. And I think our dear Laura is frozen, but she'll come back in a moment. But as you know, another thing that I'm understanding is that we have a tendency to get into the foxhole of prayer. I call it the foxhole. When stuff hits the fan, it's when the stuff hits the fan, we are right into that prayer, into God help me get through this, or God help me, make it through this relationship challenge or whatever's going on. And this is the time where I believe that we need to go a little bit deeper into what is prayer for. The prayer is really continue to understand and understand our spiritual connection with the divine beyond this human incarnation. So we continue to pray in such a way that we want to wake up even more. We want to continue to wake up into a space that tells us and that reminds us of the power that is within us. This is the reason why I believe that our prayer is so important. And just to let you know, our dear Laura got bumped out because of the internet, but she's coming back in. So I'm going to just hold space here about prayer. The other thing about prayer that I love is that prayer is a time of sacred stillness as well. We speak, but do we listen? Do we listen to the prayer? Do we embody the prayer? It's that sacred communication. Another part of prayer is the meditation. We say prayer and meditation. The prayer is our conversation. The meditation is our listening. So whenever I go into a place of prayer, I want to follow that up with a space of meditation. If I'm praying to understand something or to remember something, I must give space and room for God to speak to me, for spirit to speak to me, for love to speak to me. And that's what I do know. And as we are continuing to talk about the cosmic prayer, how many times have we actually prayed and have felt that energetic shift within us? We have prayed and it's cosmic with a big K. So we're feeling that energy of the divine within us. And prayer can shift the way we feel. Prayer can shift the way we understand ourselves. Prayer can shift our vibration. Prayer can lift us out of a place that seemingly feels like there is no way. Also, prayer gives us a chance to pause, to give weight, to turn to something outside of this human incarnation. So the importance of prayer, so important. Diego brought up my website here, skipjennings.com. And if you want to know more about what I'm doing around prayer and yoga and speaking, skipjennings.com is always a good place to start. You can sign up for my newsletter as well. And you can catch me on Friday mornings at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which is 11 o'clock Mountain Time. And that is where we get in the flow with my friend Diego. And I just can't thank Diego enough. Also, Diego, you had up my book. So can I talk about my book while we wait for Laura to come back in? My book is a little book for big transformation. It's 31 days of inner visions and spiritual practices. And this book actually came out of prayer. I was in the midst of writing for our Inner Visions magazine, which is a monthly magazine we have for Agape. And through prayer, I asked, God, what am I to do with all these writings I've been doing? And I heard, write a book. And at that time, I had done 2 books. I had done a book on your spiritual journey and growth. And then I wrote a book on a cookbook on yoga and vegetarian cooking. And then this little book for big transformation showed up. So I got a chance to write about everyday events that showed up in my life in a period of time, what I saw, what I learned, and what was my transformation. And again, this came out of prayer. The little book for transformation is 31 days. And everyone says, why 31 days of inner visions? Because there's 31 days in a month. So this book can be done as a devotional book every day, or you can read it straight on through. I've had many people on DM me online saying I read it straight on through. Now I'm going to do it as a devotion. So I'm grateful for the little book for big transformation. Here's my twin right here. Here's my twin. And I think we have Laura coming back in. Laura Topper's coming back in. Yay! There she is. Oh man. So wait a minute, Laura. So much for me kicking back. So much for me kicking back. I'm going, oh, this is gonna be easy. It's an interview. I don't have to work. This is cool. Laura's in the driver's seat.
Okay. I love this, and I'm back, and I'm here. And if you're here on Thought Media Network, then welcome to the party. This is the Cosmic Prayer, and we are with Reverend understanding of prayer and why we need prayer more than ever right now. Why do we need prayer right now? Apart from
first of all, I'm going to say we need prayer over this internet thing. Here's the thing about the internet. She is tired. Internet is like going, y'all need to go. Y'all need to give me a nap because we're going to pray over here. But what I was saying while you were gone, I was saying that this is, we have a lot of people who pray from the foxhole. And the foxhole analogy is that when you are in the middle of a war in your own life and you're in the foxhole, that's when you start to pray. But I believe that our prayer is so important at this time because we are in an evolutionary shift. We are evolving as a global community. This is the first time that in my lifetime that we ever experience what we experience as a global community. I mean, COVID just didn't hit in America. It hit everywhere. And it's still hitting everywhere. It's still on our minds. So I believe this is a time that if we can pray as a global community in the middle of this global shift, we will feel that we will all shift together. I believe this is the most important time that we can continue to pray.
I just love what you said and what you were saying before I took a little bit of a break there about how we all just kind of, we had a universal collective shift at that time where so many people were realizing, I'm here at home. What more can I do? Let's go within. And prayer became a go-to. And yes, there were changes and COVID has shifted and changed. And you're so right. We can't just rely on prayer for those times where we think there is seeming darkness, because prayer is for us in our everyday, and we're building faith and conviction, aren't we? Yes. So the more that we do it, the more we're building this beautiful atmosphere in our minds, in our hearts, where we know the truth. And for me, that isn't like a one-stop shop. it's continual, because
Right.
we need to reestablish ourselves in the atmosphere of prayer continually.
And the
So
other thing we have to understand too is that, we pray and our life will shift and things will get better. And as our life expands and our life is starting to get better, our prayer life should expand and our spiritual practices should expand with it. As our life gets bigger, so should our spiritual practices. But in most cases, it is the opposite. Our life gets better, so then we kind of put our spiritual practices aside and we forget to meditate because life is so good because we get so busy. So this is where if your life is expanding, so should your spiritual practice.
what a beautiful reminder.
Yeah,
Thank you. I think that's so powerful.
it is.
So how
It is.
has your practice expanded? Because you have a full life, you have a busy life, and I'm sure, as a teacher on so many levels and in so many ways, you're teaching people from different modalities, using different modalities, and you're busy.
Yeah.
How has your practice expanded?
So my practice is has expanded outside of a box where it used to be very much, okay, I pray here, I meditate here, I do this here. And as I began to understand and have a little bit more of an understanding, because the more I think I know, the more I realize I don't know. But I realized that I was putting my spiritual practices in a box. So throughout this time, especially being at home so much, I got to find a little bit more flexibility in my practice. So where I would get up in the morning, I started to do stretching and sun salutations and praying with my body and going to meditation maybe in the morning and then in the middle of the day and then praying and meditating in the evening. So I found a little bit more expansive space. And as I had said earlier on in the top of the show, I found prayer is non-ceasing. Prayer is continual. So even in the midst of something, I might be doing something, I might just have to stop, be still, take a moment, pray, be still, meditate, and then move on.
So it's more of an integration into your daily life.
Absolutely. One of the things that I got to do throughout this, this sacred reset is that I converted our garage into my office, into my studio. And this is where, if I moved out the curtains out the side there, I teach yoga in the very back there online and 101 yoga. And so this is like my little private ashram. And I can be in the midst of this garage here doing something. And it's just like, wait a minute, I just need to drop to my knees and say a little prayer or just be in a place of just following my breath. My breath meditation is probably more expansive now. If I can just stop, take a breath, be still, there will be a shift. There will be something that I had not seen will be revealed to me.
I love all of this. So I'm interested now in what opened you to yoga?
Oh,
what was happening in your life? What was it that called you to become a yoga
way
teacher?
Back.
Yeah.
My first experience of yoga was probably back in the 90s, where I was working on Madison Avenue, a Young Aruba Cam. I was working for a advertising agency. I was working in their library where they kept all the videos of all the commercials that came through. And a friend of mine said, let's go across the street and let's do a little yoga. I went, I don't want to do no yoga, but I did. And it just was so amazing. It was like, what is this? I kind of knew what yoga was. And then I got to experience it. Then years later, I didn't practice for years. And then maybe about 3 years later, I found myself moving from New York to California. and you get to California, you can't throw a stone without hitting a yoga studio. And even in the 90s, it was so many yoga studios. So I really began to look at yoga as a way of fitness. And I somewhere accidentally fell into a connection with God through yoga, accidentally, and I realized this is a spiritual practice. In fact, yoga became a prayer of movement for me. It became a prayer, a moving meditation, connecting with my body, becoming alive, breathing again, and I just felt this shift. I felt better. It was an energetic shift. So then another 3 years down the road, I'm like, okay, I want to teach this. This is really awesome. And I was already a personal trainer. I was already teaching group fitness. I realized I want to teach yoga. So I've been teaching for over 20 years now.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. Yeah. And what discipline of yoga do you teach? Because there are so many, aren't there?
Yeah, there's so many.
Or do you have your own style?
It's a little bit, well, every yoga teacher has their own style, but I pull from the vinyasa, and vinyasa means connected breath with movement. It's also like a dance, so it's always flowing. I'm in the flow. But every Thursday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time on Insight Timer, I teach a class called Gentle Yoga, and I've been teaching Gentle Yoga for probably maybe about 6 years now, 7 years. And it's all about not pushing, because we can push our body in yoga. We can go hard. We can do those vinyasas over and over again. But how do we take the flow and just make it so gentle? And I found more and more people were coming to me saying, this is so amazing. I love yoga, but it's just too challenging for me. So giving yourself a permission to be gentle, not just in your body, but how you speak to yourself. Be gentle in how you think. What are the words you're saying? What is your self-talk when you're challenged with balance in a yoga class? Are you, or are you, it's okay. That's the gentleness. That's the compassion. That's the love. It's an invitation for us to step away from our normal routine of go, 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 hard, 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 beat, 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 to I get it. I get to be gentle here. I get to be loving here. I get to be kind. So gentle yoga is just everything. It brings, as the kids would say, it gives me life. It gives me life.
Oh, it sounds amazing. So can we follow you online with that?
I'm sorry?
Is it a class that you give online?
It is. It's on an app called Insight Timer. If you go to my website, skipjennings.com, you'll be able to click on the Insight Timer link. That'll take you to my page on Insight Timer. So every Thursday, and it's done through your smartphone, or you can do it on, I'm sure, on an iOS computer. But it is every Thursday. It's called Gentle Yoga, 12 noon Pacific Standard Time on Insight Timer, and it's free of charge.
This is amazing. I'm going to do it. That's 8 o'clock UK time.
Okay.
That's watching now in the UK. That's 8 o'clock in the evening.
And I need to shift something. I have to continue to. It is a donation-based class.
Yeah. Yeah.
Donate.
Yeah. In the flow.
Yes.
So I'm interested in knowing more about you and prayer, because for me, I just love talking about prayer, and I love hearing people's experiences of prayer, and where prayer and demonstration has been really quite powerful demonstrations. Would you share a demonstration that you consider to be, that it's because of your use of prayer and your faith and your conviction in that prayer, that this thing happened? And because I think we all need to hear, that it does work, and when we hear it from somebody firsthand, it can really inspire us, can't it, to continue with our practice?
Oh, I have so many. I'm running through my head. So which one do I share? Which one do I share? Which one to share? So, being in fitness for the last 30 years, something I've done teaching dance and fitness, we go through our own issues with our own bodies. And I've also have had 2 back surgeries. And, thank God there were only, small surgeries. Well, no surgeries is small, but they were laminectomies and discectomies just to release a little bit of the herniation in my spine. And I remember during the second back surgery, there was a time where I really felt, this is, a few years ago, I really felt betrayed by my body. I was teaching yoga. I was teaching the big yoga classes, and literally I was paralyzed on my right side of my body, paralyzed. So we had the surgery. I remember in the space of prayer was more or less like, God, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm willing to surrender. And this was the time where I'm figuring out, before I became a minister, what am I to do? And I kept hearing, you're really to surrender to this calling as a reverend. If you're going to do this. And I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to complete school. I don't know if I'm going to, if I need to. And sitting in that bed and praying, realizing I had a conscious shift that I realized I'm in. I'm going to surrender to this. I'm going to be in this space of a teacher, of a spiritual leader. And I didn't know what it looked like, but there was a moment through prayer that I surrendered. And as I'm surrendering, there was this, it felt like a door opening. And I really stepped into a space of infinite possibilities. I really stepped into a place of purpose. Talk about purpose all the time on my podcast. What is purpose? I found my purpose. And I created my purpose statement from that prayer. My purpose statement is, I'm here to help people to see the light within themselves as I can continue to see the light within myself so that we may shine together. So gaining purpose, and I got to tell you, I still went through a whole myriad of energy in my body, pain. There was still, but I didn't suffer through it because I knew that I was on a journey of purpose. And that was my moment of fully surrendering to becoming a reverend. And Laura, you muted. I love this.
I love this. I was having an emotional moment, and I was saying, I feel so blessed and so grateful that you followed your guidance to pray in that way at that time and to then continue, because we need you here as a minister and a reverend, doing what you're doing as a teacher. And it's really powerful. So from that moment, what did opportunities suddenly, it was like, oh, I said yes, and things opened up.
It wasn't even so much opportunities. What happened was the chaos of what am I to do? Am I going to carry on? That alleviated. It was this space of stillness, and it was like I began to breathe, and it just felt right. So, and then opportunities did start to come up, and opportunities for me to continue on and to finish out and graduate, and again, throughout this pandemic, and I believe all that, me surrendering to this, I got a gig here on the New Thought Media Network. I have another podcast on Tuesdays on Unity Online Radio. I released a book during the pandemic, the little book for big transformations. I created a t-shirt line, and wearing one of my t-shirt lines.
Oh, yeah.
We are the OGBs. We are the original God blessings. We are the original God blessings. And what I love about the opportunities, they don't come right away.
Yeah.
They don't come when we want them, as my mama say, but they come when we need them.
Yeah.
They show up, So yes. Yeah.
And prayer gives us that foundational space. Well, for me, I feel it allows a foundational space to say yes. So I'm open and ready, because a lot of the time those opportunities are there, and we don't always see them, do we? That's right. And prayer can open that portal for us in our hearts and in our minds.
That's right.
So because yoga, nutrition, here we go. I'm just working through this here because I believe I can see what you're doing as you're kind of pulling in all these amazing creative ways of being through the body, through the heart, through the mind, through the food that we intake, and it's like bringing it all together as a prayer for life of self-love, a prayer of loving ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. I think, isn't that the journey of Earth School? It's like everything that we experience in this human incarnation is to bring us back to our divinity. Panache Desai talks about this, that our humanity is a gateway to our divinity. Our divinity means self-love. Divine love is self-love, is understanding that we are a divine emanation of the one. We are the one in the flesh. So self-love, however we get there, it could be dropping those extra 10 pounds or shifting the way we eat or being a little bit more flexible or having less back pain. It can take on any journey it chooses to take on or any journey that you choose to take on, but it's still the same. So I'm writing my new book. It's called Soul Fitness, and Soul Fitness is about the integration experience of spirituality and fitness. And so if you think about a gym or a yoga studio, it's the same thing that happens in our spiritual communities. So we go to a spiritual community or a church, we go to a yoga studio, you have one person in front that's guiding you, that's inspiring you as a member or participant. There is normally music. We have music in our spiritual communities. There is this space that we speak mantras in yoga. We speak affirmations in our spiritual community. We walk away feeling the same thing, inspired and life-changing. So our yoga studios or our gyms or our fitness classes have now become the new church of choices. There are more people that are going to a yoga class on a Sunday than going to a spiritual community. So is there any different? I don't believe there is. I believe it's doing the same exact thing, but we have to be open to this idea of let's get out of the box of what we think spirituality is. Let's get out of the box of what we think prayer is and meditation is, because it's limiting our experience of God. God cannot be put in a box, neither should our spiritual practices.
I love that. So often when I used to go to gyms, because I don't really go to a gym anymore.
Right.
But I did, and they'd be playing this music, and I'd be thinking, wow, this is not inspiring me. This is not music that's inspiring me to really, I mean, I know it's all God, of course. And yet when you hear the words that really kind of like those new thought words, it kind of, there's something about it that motivates even more or inspires even more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's why me and Jason created all of our music. We put it into playlists that people can buy. It's for spiritual fitness.
That's great.
For walking, for meditating, for dancing, and for relaxation. Because
I love that.
Yeah, because we are alive every moment of every day. We're here and living as God. That emanation of God. And
yes.
So we can kind of bring it all together, can't we?
Yes, we can.
And so
yes, we can. No limit.
How do we pray through our nutrition?
So this is a very important question. I love this, and it's a very prolific question. So we pray. I mean, I was taught to pray over my food before I went into the body. Simple prayer, God bless this food. May it nourish our bodies as we continue to do God's work. Simple prayer. We pray over our foods all the time. But think about this. We can even pray and ask Spirit to show us what does the body temple need now in this moment. Or we can pray going down in the supermarket, is this the food for my highest evolution? Because what we feed the body temple is how the body temple will feel. So I guarantee you, especially here, me, 57-year-old man, if I choose an apple versus a Snickers bar, I'm going to feel better and I'm going to show up even more vibrant to do my work online. So why do we choose what I call mindful eating? Mindful eating is the ABCs of eating, and it's something I created for my clients. A, it's the amount. We must always be aware of how much we're going to put into our body. B is balance. And most of us do not have a balance in our body. We're eating way too much sugar, way too much fats, way too much protein. And the balance comes from what Deepak Chopra calls the sun-infused foods, the oranges and the grapes and the greens. That's what the body's looking for, more living food. That's the balance. But the big thing is connection. Connection is, why am I eating at this time? Am I eating because I'm bored? Am I eating because I'm sad? Am I eating because I'm happy? Do I really need to eat another meal when I'm not hungry? So all that becomes from a connection of conscious awareness of what does the body temple need in this moment. So this is all prayer. This is all a spiritual practice. Eating is a spiritual practice and experience. So why not pray it up?
Wow, this is amazing. This has come at the right time for me because I've kind of, we let things slip in pandemic and being at home and not moving and just eating for the sake of it or whatever, or not eating my food. So the last couple of weeks I've taken charge of that. I remember though, a few years ago, I was in Thailand, and I lived in a Buddhist temple, beautiful temple, for a couple of months. And the practice there was they had this food that they would lay out every single day for lunch. And it was beautiful, all vegetarian, so beautiful, such delicious food. And they had this way, you have your plate, you can go up, you can take whatever you want, right? And so you're really mindful because you can't go back. So you can take as much as you want with the hunger that you have at that moment, and that will satisfy you. You know that will, because that's what you've taken.
Wow.
And then you can't go back. So, and you have to, and the way of eating was so slow. We had to eat so slowly, and be so grateful for every single mouthful. But that's just really come back to me now with what you're saying, this mindfulness of what we're putting on the plate.
My big food right now, my big eating practice right now, I'm really looking into the superfoods, which is superfoods or super nutritional value. So you have the blueberries, and you have even superfood, dark chocolate, the real dark chocolate, the real good stuff. That's antioxidant that is so good for us, with no sugar, because you have your milk chocolate or you have your, but the real deal stuff. Eating more of the oats. Oats is a great spirulina. I have my green drink that I do every morning. Really focusing on superfoods as a way of really getting the most nutritional value within my body. That is a practice. That takes work. I mean, spiritual work, because sometimes it's very easy just to go ahead and grab that bag of potato chips off the shelf. But for you to go looking and get your list, and you have your superfood list, and this is what I'm going to buy today. And shifting, like, instead of having orange juice, have an orange and bless the orange. Cut it up, say thank you, God, for the orange. And really being aware of like almonds or superfood and different nuts that we can put in, and really blessing ourselves with, I'm choosing to eat at the highest vibration for my body temple. That's a practice.
I'm so inspired by you, and I just, all the shows of Cosmic Prayer, and Rev Skip is here talking about food and prayer. And this is amazing because, with all these shows, you're the first person to come on and really talk about how we integrate all of this into our life, our bodies, our food, exercise, yoga, stretching, breathing, and how it's all a prayer.
It is all a prayer.
I'm so grateful that you've
It is all a prayer.
come here and shared this today. And I hope you haven't got a Snicker bar kind of under the counter.
No, you got an orange. And when we're done here, I have like a quick hot second between our interview and my client. But I am going to go into the house and grab my bowl of oatmeal, and I'll, so you want to really begin to understand that what you eat will affect how you feel. So I'm glad you got that orange there.
Oh, absolutely. And we can see it in our energy, in our energetic field, in our consciousness, in the way that we show up, how clear our energy is. We can feel that for ourselves, can't we?
Yes, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah. So, Skip, it's just such a blessing that you're here today on the Cosmic Prayer. So much fun, and you're such an inspiration for me. I just love the way that you teach. I love the way that you teach in such an integrated and wholehearted way, really bringing your wisdom through into how we can live our life.
Yes. Well, it's been a wonderful experience. I've been looking forward to this, and I wanted to make sure that I got the times right, because you're on a UK time, I'm on Pacific time, Diego's Mountain time, so I had to kind of convert it all around and make sure I was on the right time.
You are. So I want to know, this book you've got coming out, when is it out? When's your new book coming out? Do you have a date, or is it just...
No, we don't have a date. I'm in the process of, and as a writer, we just, and I actually have my literary agent, and who's also a practitioner, is also my kind of helped me out through this. Is I've been putting a lot of pressure on getting the book done, and so I'm letting it sit so the book can nourish me and I can nourish the book. And so, we have a lot written already, but now we're in the process of editing. So I'm setting the intention for January 22, because it starts off the new year. What's a great time to begin to push restart on your spiritual practice.
Beautiful. So we'll look out for that. And I hope that you come back onto the Cosmic Prayer in the new year and talk about it, and maybe guide people through the intention of the
Absolutely. And before then, though, you can actually, I'm having a couple live events that you can join in. If you're not a member of Insight Timer, please go to Insight Timer and join Insight Timer. And then Insight Timer, exactly how it sounds, and it's on
Insight or Inside?
Insight, like we have the Insight Timer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then coming in September, Wednesdays, for the first 3 Wednesdays in September, we're going to be doing a live event called Soul Fitness, and it's going to be a workshop that we're going to meet together and talk about how do we shift our body tempo, and that's going to be 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so that starts in September for just the month of September. So I'll be doing that, and we'll be talking about soul fitness. So I'll be getting some insights for the book as well. So
beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for being here, Rev Skip, and just enlightening me and the viewers here on the Cosmic Prayer today. I'd really like to ask you if you would like to share a prayer.
Sure, I would love to.
As we leave the show today.
Absolutely. So,
thank you.
As you join us in prayer, I invite you to go within, unless you're driving. And if you're not, then take a moment here just to be still and go ahead and close your eyes and just follow your breath. And you can release your body tempo and just turn on your spiritual ears and your spiritual mind. And with this prayer and with all prayers, I begin in gratitude. I'm grateful for this day. I'm grateful for this life. I'm grateful to be a part of this community called New Thought Media Network. I'm so grateful for my sister, Laura, as she is bringing this message of cosmic prayer every week. I'm grateful for her ministry. I'm grateful to be a part of this show and this time, at this time where prayer is so needed. I am so grateful. So grateful to know that the one power, the one presence I call God is active. It is the essence of life. It is the nuance. It is the energy. It is the vibration. It's the prana that's created all things. It is the energy that has no limitations. It is the vibration that is above all vibrations. It is the beauty, the love, the joy, the oneness, the prosperity, plenitude, all of these divine qualities that is coming forth as an expansive good, all good. As I know this all good is happening, I know that it is my life, for I'm living and moving and having my beingness in and as God. I know this truth for myself. I know this truth for each and every person that's online here, those who will listen later on. I know this truth for our beloved Reverend Briz. I know this truth for Laura. I know this truth for everyone that is in the earshot of my voice and those that are not, for there is no spot that God is not. So I'm blessing this space. I'm blessing each and every person as they're coming forth in this moment saying, I choose to pray. Whatever the prayer request is, whatever the realization is happening, it is happening in God. Therefore, it was already answered before I uttered the words. And may the focus be around the body temple, relationships, money, prosperity, plenitude, finding a job, whatever it may be, it is already done in the mind of God. So we open up ourselves so that we may hear, so that we may feel, so that we may know the truth of ourselves, that everything God is, we are. Everything we are, God is. Therefore, it is already good. So I'm giving thanks in this space. I'm giving thanks as this prayer. I'm giving thanks. And as I give thanks, I release this word into the law of manifestation, the law of love, the law of God, the law of spirit, where it was already fulfilled before I even spoke the words. And as I release, I let go and I let God be God. I get out of the way and let God do the God thing. And so it is. Amen. Ashe. Aho. Namaste.
Namaste. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. And now it is.
Yes.
Thank you, Rev Skip, for being here.
You're so welcome.
For lighting up this show, really, and life. I'm just feeling so grateful and inspired by everything that you've shared right now.
Thank you.
And so your website is skipjennings.com for anyone.
skipjennings.com.
Yeah, please check out Rev Skip's website and all the offerings and his books and teachings and yoga and everything else that he's doing as a minister and a coach as well. And so spiritual. So I know that if there is anything that you are seeking to expand in your heart, then contact Rev Skip, because I know that he's here ready to serve you.
Yes, and we have in the flow t-shirt. If you buy in the flow t-shirt at Shop Rev Skip, 10% goes to supporting the New Thought Media Network. So buy a in the flow. There it is. We love Diego, don't we? That is the Wake Shop by Rev Skip, and so 10% of every t-shirt we sell will actually go to an organization that's making a difference. So inspiration you can wear.
Love that one. Love that t-shirt. It's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're wearing one now. There we go.
I'm wearing one right now. This is we are the OG. We are the OGB, which stands for Original God Blessings, and is different from what some of us have been taught about the original sin. Nope. There is no original sin. We are the original God blessing. So this is a reminder, inspiration I can wear, remind others that we are original God blessing. So let's step into that, into that affirmation, into that mantra. We are the original God blessing.
Yeah, and we need those reminders on our t-shirts.
Yes, we do.
Look down and there it is.
There it is.
Oh, thank you,
This
Rev
is
Skip,
so
for being here.
good. This is so good.
So good. And you're going to come back with your book, I know it, and inspire me.
Absolutely, I will. For sure. For sure, for sure.
So thank you all also for being here right now and viewing this. If you're seeing it now or later on, Rev Skip is our guest for the week on the Cosmic Prayer, our super duper guest. And if you love this and love New Thought Media Network, which we do, we're like super fans of New Thought Media Network, of course, then you have an opportunity to be in the reciprocal flow, be in the flow, and to share your love offering here. The link is down below on this on the little bit of writing underneath this, so you can click and donate to be a part of bringing this ministering and these teachings to the world. And what a great thing to be a part of.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yes, there's my website. If for anybody that's interested in what I'm doing and the music, you can find it on my website also at lauratoper.com. I need to speak to you about this, Rev Skip, because I feel that we can kind of do something with the music.
Absolutely. For sure.
So, thank you so much for being here, Rev Skip, and to everyone that's listening, and to Diego for bringing this show to its fullest light, and to Rev Robert for having the inspired vision and purpose and mission for New Thought Media Network. We will see you next week on Cosmic Prayer. Bye for now.
The Awake Shop by Rev Skip. Inspiration you can wear. Hats, mugs, hoodies, and tees. Visit theawakeshop.org today.